Calaroga Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Romance Weekly. This episode is titled Superdate.
In the bustling heart of the city, where skyscrapers tower overhead and dreams take flight, a confident woman named Sarah found herself embarking on a blind date with a man who called himself Clark. Clark, with his unassuming charm and oversized clothes that hinted at a hidden strength, was a far cry from the typical suave and debonair men Sarah had encountered before. But there was something intriguing about him, something that piqued her curiosity and made her eager to uncover the mysteries behind those glasses and that shy smile. As they sat across from each other in a cozy cafe, Sarah couldn't help but notice the way Clark's glasses framed his handsome face, his muscles straining against the fabric of his unassuming attire. "So Clark, tell me something interesting about yourself," she prompted, a playful twinkle in her eye. Clark hesitated for a moment, his gaze flickering with uncertainty before he leaned in, his voice low and conspiratorial. "Well, Sarah, I have a little secret. I'm actually a superhero," he confessed, his expression earnest yet tinged with a hint of mischief. Sarah couldn't suppress a laugh, the absurdity of his claim sending a ripple of amusement through her. "A superhero, huh? And I suppose you can fly and have X-ray vision too?" she teased, her skepticism evident. To her surprise, Clark didn't miss a beat, his eyes lighting up with a mischievous gleam. "As a matter of fact, I can. And just to prove it to you," he trailed off, his gaze locking with hers as he revealed the color of her underwear, a detail he had no way of knowing unless his claim was true. Sarah's laughter faltered, a shiver of uncertainty coursing through her as she considered the possibility that maybe, just maybe, Clark was telling the truth. Could it be that she was sitting across from a real-life superhero, disguised as an ordinary man? Before she could delve deeper into her thoughts, Clark's demeanor shifted, his expression clouding with a sudden sense of urgency. "I'm sorry, Sarah, but duty calls. There's trouble brewing and I must go," he explained, his voice tinged with regret as he rose from his seat and made for the door. Sarah watched in stunned silence as Clark disappeared into the night, leaving her with more questions than answers. Weeks passed, and despite her best efforts to reach out to him, she heard nothing from Clark. It seemed their brief encounter had been nothing more than a fleeting moment in time, a curious footnote in her dating adventures. But just when she had all but given up hope, Clark reappeared in her life, his presence igniting a spark of excitement within her once more. As they reunited over coffee and shared stories of their time apart, Sarah found herself drawn to Clark in a way she couldn't explain, a connection that defied logic and reason. Their relationship blossomed anew, each day bringing them closer together as they navigated the ups and downs of life in the city. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Clark than met the eye, but she chose to embrace the mystery, content to enjoy the present moment and the undeniable chemistry between them. As their relationship deepened, Sarah and Clark found themselves enjoying countless moments of laughter and intimacy, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Yet, amidst the joy and romance, there were moments of uncertainty when Clark's sudden disappearances left Sarah questioning the true nature of their connection. One evening, as they strolled hand in hand through the city streets, basking in the warm glow of streetlights and the buzz of conversation around them, Clark suddenly froze, his gaze fixed on the horizon with a furrowed brow. "Clark, what's wrong?" Sarah asked, concern lacing her voice as she followed his line of sight. I'm sorry, Sarah, I have to go," Clark replied, his voice strained with an urgency she couldn't quite comprehend. Before Sarah could protest, Clark was already sprinting down the street, leaving her standing alone in the fading light, bewildered and heartbroken. Another time, they found themselves cozied up in a charming little bistro, their laughter mingling with the soft strains of jazz music in the air. As they shared stories and dreams over glasses of wine, Clark's expression suddenly darkened, his eyes clouded with a sense of foreboding. "I have to leave, Sarah. There's something I need to take care of," he said, his voice barely above a whisper as he rose from his seat. "Wait, Clark, please! Can't you tell me what's going on?" Sarah pleaded, her heart aching with the weight of his sudden departure. But Clark was already gone, disappearing into the night without a backward glance, leaving Sarah to grapple with the uncertainty of their relationship once more. In the aftermath of yet another abrupt departure, Sarah found herself grappling with a whirlwind of emotions, her frustration and confusion bubbling to the surface like a simmering pot on the verge of boiling over. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Clark's sudden disappearances than he was letting on, and she was determined to get to the bottom of it. As Clark returned to her apartment later that evening, his expression heavy with guilt and exhaustion, Sarah knew that she couldn't let him off the hook so easily. She squared her shoulders, steeling herself for the confrontation that was sure to come. "Clark, we need to talk," Sarah began, her tone firm yet tinged with a hint of vulnerability. Clark, sensing the gravity of the situation, nodded solemnly, his gaze meeting hers with a mixture of apprehension and resignation. "I know, Sarah. I'm sorry for running out on you like that. It's just, there are things I can't explain, things that I have to deal with," he admitted, his voice tinged with regret. Sarah's patience was wearing thin, her frustration boiling over as she struggled to make sense of Clark's cryptic explanations. "You can't keep doing this, Clark. You can't keep running away every time things get tough. I need you here with me in the present moment," she pleaded, her voice cracking with emotion. Clark's shoulders slumped, his gaze dropping to the floor as he absorbed Sarah's words. "I promise, Sarah, I won't leave again. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right, to be the man you need me to be," he vowed, his voice heavy with sincerity. Despite her lingering doubts, Sarah chose to believe in Clark's promise, to hold on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, they could overcome the obstacles that stood in their way and find their way back to each other. But as the night wore on and the weight of the world pressed down upon them, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. Try as she might, she couldn't seem to lift Clark's spirits, his usual charm and humor overshadowed by a deep sadness that seemed to consume him from within. And then, as they sat in silence, the flickering glow of the television casting long shadows across the room, the news anchor's somber voice filled the air with a tale of tragedy and devastation. A nuclear power plant had melted down, unleashing a wave of destruction that would reverberate for miles around. As the gravity of the situation sank in, Clark's expression darkened, his features contorted with grief and despair. "There wasn't anything anyone could have done," he whispered, his voice barely above a whisper as he turned to Sarah with tears in his eyes. Sarah reached out to him, her heart breaking for the man she loved, yet powerless to ease his pain. In that moment, she realized that there were some burdens too heavy to bear alone, some wounds too deep to heal with mere words. And so, as they clung to each other in the darkness, Sarah made a silent vow to cherish every moment they shared together, to embrace the mystery and magic of their love, no matter where their journey may lead. For in the end, whether Clark was truly a superhero or simply a man with a heart of gold, one thing was certain: he was her hero, her rock, her guiding light in a world that often felt overwhelming and chaotic.
Romance Weekly is a Calaroga Shark Media production, written and hosted by A.I. McIntyre, produced by Mark Francis. Executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott.
Calaroga Shark Media.